What up, Mike? Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1360 of Toronto Mic'd. Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. The Advantaged Investor Podcast from Raymond James Canada. Valuable perspective for Canadian investors who want to remain knowledgeable, informed, and focused on long-term success. Season 5 of Yes, We Are Open, an award-winning podcast hosted by FOTM Al Grego for Menaris and Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. FOTM Dave Charles.
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Good to see you. Whereabouts in the world are you?
I am in Oakville in my home office, and it's thundering and lightning here, so we're sending some thunder and lightning your way.
No, we got enough of our own here. I got I left for a bike ride and it was nice out, and then I got drenched, man.
Oh, I was going to tell you, I usually take a walk. I would go down to the Bronte Lake Walk or something, but tonight I'm not sure. It's going to get windy here in a few minutes. So, but I like getting out. My gym in Oakville's on strike, so they padlocked the doors and said, "Give us more money. You can't work out here." So,
really,
this is my only workout here right now.
Okay, well, we're gonna have a good time. An FOTM Hall of Famer recorded something to introduce this new thing I'm going to try with you, Dave. So you ready to listen closely?
I'm ready.
And now a different Toronto Mic'd podcast created for those of us with limited attention span, people who prefer small bites instead of a massive buffet. Here it is. Let's call it Micro Mic'd, Mini Mic'd, Honey, I Shrunk the Podcast. Here is Toronto Microcast.
So this is the first Toronto Microcast. What do you think of that?
I love being number one. The only time in my life I've been number one without a bullet. So
I heard you were number one at Q107 or close enough.
Well, you know, I never had numbers there. You know, we were always into letters in the alphabet, so we avoided the numbers.
You were
there was too many egos, right? I couldn't handle all the stress.
Wow, that's the real talk. Okay, do you recognize the voice in that little promo clip?
Oh, geez, it's a hard one. I think it's got to be Hebsy. I think Hebsy's out of control. He's on helium, right? Hebsy on helium.
You know what? That is not Hebsy. That's a good guess, though. That is Peter Gross.
No way. No.
That's the one and only, yeah.
How did you ever he's always at the track. How did you get him out of the track?
Listen, that man phones me every Sunday, Dave. So it's like if you ever want someone to talk to on a Sunday afternoon, give me a call because Peter does it every single Sunday.
Okay, $5 on Seabiscuit. How's that? That's a good opener.
Well, he'd let me know if that was a good bet. Okay, so This is going to be a shorter episode. I'm going to grill you a little bit on a few things, but if I have Dave Charles on the line, even for a short little bit, I kind of want your opinion, your feedback on a new song from a band you might remember from the 60s. I'm going to play a little bit of this song, and then I'm just curious, what does FOTM Dave Charles think of this? So
1, 2,
'Cause
All right, Dave.
That is magic. That's Sir Peter Jackson, who managed to salvage the piano and vocal of John Lennon thanks to Yoko Ono, who gave it to Paul and put that together. That is just magic. I mean, the intensity, the beauty of that. What a denouement. Denouement is an ending of a story for the Beatles, and that is so beautiful. When first time I heard it, I cried. I just, because I'm such a huge Beatle fan. They're part of my entire career. I mean, I started on air in '63 at CJBQ in Belleville, and the Beatles were just starting their career with Love Me Do. And I figured, oh my God, now here we are. You know, how many years later? 60 years later? 60 years later. And I hear Now and Then. How do you think I feel? I'm just so emotional about that song, and I'm so proud of how meticulous Sir Peter Jackson together, and the orchestration and just to hear Ringo and Paul step in there as well. You know, John's voice is so compelling and haunting. I love it, and I'm really glad Beatle fans all over the world have a chance to share in that little gem. That's just so magic.
I'm so glad you love it. I also love it, Dave, and I've heard a few little pockets here and there that think it's not very good. Maybe it's even, I don't know, ruining their legacy. It was a demo, wasn't supposed to see the light of day. But you and I are on the same page where I think it's hauntingly beautiful, and I'm so glad we have this.
Yep. It's a treasure, but what I love about it, it's finished. It's not just a demo on a tape. It's not them demoing on a cassette recorder. It's a full production, which is what you expect from the Beatles. And what I heard when they put it all together, the orchestration and Paul and Sir Peter Jackson and Ringo, that's magic. I mean, it's a gift. It's my gift this year for music.
How many of the Beatles did you get to meet in your career?
I was at the very first press conference, my very first gig outside of Belleville with winners of a contest to come meet the Beatles at Maple Leaf Gardens. I was in the hot stove lounge at Maple Leaf Gardens, and I got to ask Ringo a question. You know, I said, "What's it like being on stage?" And some stupid question like that. He said, "Whoa, it's good, mate." You know, and that because it was a scrum, it was a media scrum, and I was able to get my microphone in there and have that. Jim Wright was there with me, and Sandra Flagler of CJBQ, and we were there to capture that moment. And I have the photo in my man cave of that actual press conference. You know, so thrill. It was the thrill. And I had a chance to meet Paul later on, but it was in, again, another media scrum. But, you know, the other guys I did not meet at all. I had a chance to interview John Lennon when I was music director at 1050 Chum. He was staying with Ronnie Hawkins at his farm near Peterborough. And my job then for Chum, in addition to putting the music together, was to do the top 100 every year and get an interview clip of every one of the top 100, which the Beatles were. So I had a chance to talk to him for about 30 minutes. He was really a nice guy. I ran up a hell of a phone bill on Ronnie, but he was there, and he was good to talk to. So that was my only exposure with the Beatles.
But Ronnie Hawkins dined out on that story forever. That story about the phone bill, okay?
Yeah, I know. Ronnie never missed a chance, you know, and he was very penny wise and pound foolish, eh? or whatever.
Well, that story was worth every penny to Romp and Ron. It's funny because my next guest in studio, his name is Ron Hawkins.
No.
Yeah. Like, so
it's no.
And, you know, he'll tell me he's a lead singer and founder of a great Toronto band called Lowest of the Low. And he tells stories about once in a while he would book in a hotel and people would think he was Rompin' Ronnie Hawkins, but of course he's not.
Where they take all the furniture out of the room.
Right.
So, so nothing would get destroyed.
Right. So Dave, okay, so this is amazing. The very first ever what am I calling this? Microcast. It's funny. I almost treat we talked about how AI helped clean up John Lennon's vocals on that demo that Yoko Ono gave to Paul and whatnot. And then I used a little AI, if you will, but I call him Peter Gross, which is like, hey, I was on the phone with him yesterday, which was Sunday, and I'm like, Peter, I kind of want to do this thing called microcasts. Can you record an intro? And then he kind of spits that out. Like, he's my AI. I just, you know what I mean?
That was great. I did not pick up Grossy on that at all. Anytime you want me to come in and do a little AI fix, I'll be happy to try to imitate somebody. I'm a terrible impersonator, so I'll try.
Did you ever work with Peter Gross or no? You guys didn't?
No, we never crossed paths. I mean, I'd maybe see him at a conference or something, but you know, he was always at the competition, so I never had a chance. But I certainly know his reputation, and I just find him a hilarious character. You know, he's really. You
said it, the C word. I love characters. Peter's one. You know, Hebsy's another. I love these guys. We're running out of these characters.
I know. And, you know, that's what, to me, radio was built on that. I mean, Scruff Connors and brother Jake Edwards. And, you know, these people were absolutely nuts, you know, but they were good nuts. They were so creatively talented. I was just basic Dave. I just didn't have those chops. I didn't think like that, you know, and I was never in their category on air. But, you know, later on, maybe I got crazier, but it just.
But you know what? Now that so many stations are owned by, you know, either, you know, Bell or Rogers or Chorus, like they're risk averse. They don't really want their talent to be nuts.
No, I know. And that's a shame. I mean, if I were to put a radio station together in Toronto, I would bring all these people back, or as many as I could get, and put them on the air because they're entertaining. They know their stuff. They know how to get the best out of showbiz, out of music, out of this little interview segment we did about Now and Then with the Beatles. They would have other anecdotal stories. And what you want is anecdotes. You want stories behind the stories. You know, that's why I love Hebsy so much. You know, well, he's got lots of stories.
Yeah, we got to get you a radio station then. Okay, so let me just let people know, okay, because I have a bunch of bones to pick with you, with my tongue in my cheek, because I'm a huge Dave Charles fan and I love you. You're a great FOTM. But, okay, so if people want to hear a full episode of Dave Charles, I recommend they listen to an episode from November 2021. I should have grabbed the number, but I grabbed the description.
955.
Okay, 955. Thank you. Mike chats with radio veteran Dave Charles about his years at CKOC, 1050 Chum, launching Q107, and more. We talked for about 90 minutes, so everybody's going there. I wrote you an email Friday and I got an auto response, and I'm going to read verbatim what this auto responder said. It said, on vacation till June 6th. We'll be accessing all email, but in a different time zone. So my first question for you, Dave, is that really old, really new, or is that just a mistake?
A mistake. I changed up my iPhone. I got a brand new iPhone 15. I didn't change the old message. So a lot of these tech glitches and cues are coming back to haunt me. Right. So I've got a few calls on that saying, where the hell are you? I know where you are. You're in Oakville. Why are you telling me you're not
Well, that's why I want to know where you were.
Apologies.
Okay.
How do I apologize on behalf of a damn phone? You know, but I guess I should. I'll take, that's my bad. I didn't change that, but after this interview, I will.
Yeah. And I expect some more apologies in the next 5-10 minutes here. Okay.
We'll grovel.
One more. Okay, so we did chat before that, and you said, hey, how's 10:15? You remember this? This is like Friday. And then I set up a Zoom for us to chat on Friday at like 10:15. And then this is all taking place at like 9:30. And it's like 10:15, we're going to jump on Zoom. And I set it up. So at about, 5 minutes early, I start the Zoom and I sit here where I'm sitting right now. And I'm looking and you're not there. You don't come. You're 10 minutes late. I send you notes. I tried to phone you a couple of times, believe it or not. What happened that you stood me up on that Zoom on Friday?
I just couldn't get my Friday together. I had all kinds of things fall apart that I had to take care of. And not that I was dissing you, but it just didn't work out for me on Friday. And I was hoping we could do a recovery. I had no idea what you were up to. I figured, okay, you've had me on twice. You've had me on with Hebsy. You've had my profile on 955. I figured, we can get this another time, And so I figured that I'd do a make good, and today's the make good. So I figured you weren't in any urgency to get me on the air because you've already had me twice.
Right. But that 10:15 was your idea.
I know. It was one of those deadlines that I just couldn't make. So
okay, next time a courtesy text or something like, Mike, I can't make it or something like that. Okay, so
I'll go stand in the corner right now, right?
Well, hold on, I'm just getting to the good stuff here. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to thank you, Dave Charles, for interviewing me for FYI Music News. Thank you for doing that.
My pleasure. And also, we got the name right. It was my editor, David Farrell, who called you Podcast Mike instead of Toronto Mike. And I said, Dave, I went back to him on the weekend. I said, we've got to get this fixed because it's not right. It's not his brand. His brand is Toronto Mike.
Okay, so listen, you're stealing my thunder. So we're going to go through this step by step. But all right, before I give you heck for that Podcast Mike fiasco here, I got to ask you, if you don't mind telling us what exactly, like, is, or I guess was, FYI Music News, and what is it now that Billboard Canada seems to have bought it? Can you give me the 411 on FYI Music News?
Well, it still continues. It's part of a bigger creature now with Billboard coming in. Billboard has this international reputation, as we know, and Billboard Canada is part of the new extension of that. I mean, Billboard has a lot of connections through all of their music entities, and so it's now joining and going to be a part of what FYI started, you know. So I think that's good news. I think that overall David Farrell understands that. I certainly understand that. It just gives us a wider look at the music universe in the world. It gives us much broader perspectives. It gives us, you know, better articles perhaps, and just a lot more resources. And I think that that's the good news.
Is there any interference from Billboard Canada now that they own you?
No, none at all. I mean, they let us do what we do. I mean, I'm still 5 episodes. I've still got 5 more interviews in the can that are all going to be published, and I enjoy doing those interviews. By the way,
well, you're good at them.
You really get to talk to somebody and get most of the story, because you know not everybody gets to tell their whole story. I just did one with Rob Braid. Rob, I started in radio back in 1978, 79 at CHOM in Montreal. He spent all of his radio career in Montreal as an incredible guy. So we had a chance to tell his story. So Rob is one of many that I want to feature. I've got an interview coming up, by the way, with Jim Pattison, the legendary Jim Pattison, the guy, he's worth $10.5 billion. You know, he owns all these radio properties and car dealerships. And you just Google Jimmy Pattison and you will see what and I actually got an interview with him, and I figured I'd never get a chance. You know, the ones I'm trying to get a hold of are people like Moses Znaimer, who thinks that I'm an idiot. I can't get a hold of Doug Pringle, who was one of the original jocks at CHOM in Montreal. So he's off with the ferry somewhere. But there's some people I want to get, like Moses Znaimer is a very important person in Toronto media. You know, Blue Movies, Much Music, Fashion TV. The Zoomer thing is all about it. He's very creative and very clever, but he's elusive and he's bitchy, you know, so.
Well, okay, I can tell you, you're going to have to get in line for Moses. I have been actively pursuing Moses for over a decade now, okay? And I have people on the inside, literally it's not a man, but his right-hand man, who happens to be a woman. I've got her on board. I can't tell you how close I am, but I don't think this man wants to do any media he can't control.
Well, here's the deal. You know, the lady I got to his personal assistant and I said, my name is Dave Charles. And she said, well, we don't know who you are. And I said, well, let me send you some interviews and stuff I've done. And let me send you my company's credentials and what I've done, and nothing back. And I sent him the most recent one on Rob Braid. So he obviously doesn't want to speak to me.
No, but get in line. Seriously, now you're on my turf here, Dave. We're going to have to throw down here. If you get that Moses interview before I do, I'm going to be very angry with you.
And I'll be still standing in the corner, right?
Okay, and you use a term when you talked about, you know, these interviews you did one with me again. You used the word, I have 4 in the can. I think you use the expression in the can.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Real talk here, Dave. I need to have some answers to some of these questions. Okay. You and we did our chat in mid-August. So now now it's like November now, but we talked in mid-August, and I don't know why, maybe because I know how I roll, but I thought it was going to be published like that day or maybe the next day or that next week, but it took 2 months for our chat to be published at FYI Music News. So can you explain the 2-month canage? Like, what is the purpose of this?
I am a contributing article writer and interviewer. My editor controls when those articles get published, David Farrell. And David has an incredible job to try to balance all the politics of music and all the other things in his world. And so he's trying to make sure that, you know, I get published in a timely way. And some of it just gets backed up. I mean, I tend to turn them up pretty good. And I'm 6 deep right now. I'm still waiting for 6 other interviews to be published. So that's just the way it works with a magazine like FYI.
So Dave Farrell shelved me for 2 months. Is that what you're telling me right now?
No, he didn't know who you were. You know, he thought you were Moses Znaimer.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he confused us. People confuse us all the time, Dave. It happens all the time. Okay, so I like this though, because now I'm getting answers to my questions. Okay, so now 2 months of sitting in the shelf or whatever, then finally the chat is published. And in our chat from mid-August, I promoted TMLL TMLX 13, which was going to be like early September. And by the time it was published, that date that was published, hey, come to TMLX 13, this date was way in the rear view mirror. So my question is, maybe it's a question for Dave Farrell, why not edit that out since it's in the past? Or maybe even if you wanted to, you could update it with the TMLX 14 info, because that's December 9th, and you should still be there, FOTM Dave Charles. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, there have been mistakes that I've picked up, such as you just described, and I get annoyed because they reflect back on me. Right? People say, right. You, Dave Charles, you should have caught that. You should have picked that up. In fact, there are certain things that I did miss that I take responsibility for. That was not one of them, but it certainly reflects on the fact that, FYI has got a job to do in making sure that if you're going to do an interview with Mike Boone, we got to get it on in a timely way so that the information given in the interview becomes relevant. Otherwise, it makes you look stupid, and nobody likes to feel that they're out of date. And people who read that say, "Wait a minute, yeah, that was a month ago, and,
right.
and I'm missing that." So yeah, apologies for that.
All right, well, since we're all looking stupid already, and you kind of alluded to this, the headline, the big font headline above our chat said it referred to me as. You mentioned this earlier. It referred to me as Podcast Mike. And I see this and I want to share it with everybody, but it says Podcast Mike. I'm Toronto Mike. Who's Podcast Mike? So I wrote you right away. I'm like,
I know.
Dave, it says Podcast Mike. And in my mind, I'm thinking, somebody will go into the CMS, the content management system, will edit Podcast Mike. So it says Toronto Mike, will click save or publish, and voila, it'll update the web page. This is the glory of HTML. It's very nimble. You can change it on a dime. And I basically, when we talked on Friday, it was still not done. So 2 months later, this headline had not been edited. Who at FYI Music News can edit a frickin' headline? What's going on over there? David Farrell again. He's a one-man band, but he's the guy who's responsible for every bit of content that goes on that site and what you read. So I hit him up on that. I said, look, we're looking bad here. We're really starting to suck. And I said, that's not good, because I'm going to be talking to Mike, and it's not a good look. Yeah,
good look. It's not a good look.
Is he jealous he's not an FOTM? Is that what's going on here? What do you think?
Maybe that's it. I think if you get to him and put him down on the mat and say, "Look, we're gonna take the microscope now and figure out who you are." Great story. He'd be a great guest on the show. He's got the wonderful rich British accent, so and music knowledge is on. He's got incredible chops.
I would have him on the show. My first question would be. This is a true story. Maybe I haven't shared this with you yet, Dave, but when I helped Humble and Fred launch their podcast, early, they're now at 12 years because they started a little ahead of me. So early in the run, we got a lawyer letter from Chorus, signed by Dave Farrell, saying, Chorus owns the name Humble and Fred, and if Humble and Fred want that name, the paperwork and lawyer stuff is about $5,000. If Humble and Fred could fork over $5,000, they could own the name Humble and Fred. That was signed by Dave Farrell.
No, there's two Dave. That's Dave Farrell. David Farrell is the guy I'm talking about. There's two different people.
Okay, can we? Okay,
David Farrell is not Farrell. F-A-R-R-O-U-G-H.
So how do you spell this Dave's name?
Dave Farrell.
When were you going to Dave? When were you going to update? This is a huge change here. So this Dave.
It's not Dave Farrell. Dave Farrell's a consultant. He did work for Chorus. Now but David Farrell is right now in Moncton, New Brunswick, where his home is, and he's not. They're two different creatures, two different people. Trust me.
Oh, you know what? I thought. Okay,
I'll send you his number.
Now that these are two different. Okay, there's a Dave Farrell who wanted the $5,000 from Humble and Fred.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's got like an OUGH at the end of Farrell. And your Dave Farrell is like
Farrell.
Okay,
yeah, David. It's not Dave. It's David Farrell.
I feel as silly as you must feel for that Podcast Mike thing, that I also, much like you guys at FYI Music, I am also human. I have made a mistake, and I apologize to Dave Farrell for thinking he was Dave Farrow, who
no, not the same guys. I mean, I'm glad we had this chat, because otherwise we would have been wandering around wondering what the hell's going on.
We should talk to each other, but this still doesn't excuse a couple more grievances, and then I'm going to continue to kiss your ass.
Do I get a prize? I want one of those lasagnas,
Well,
if I'm going to confess everything.
How many lasagnas have I given you in your illustrious?
2. No, I've had 2, and I got that wonderful pen. I got with the light that blinds people. I like that one.
That was pen. Okay. Well, that is from Ridley Funeral Home. So you've been taken care of.
I love that. And thank them very much, because
and did you get your Great Lakes
to find my cat? It's great.
I use it to find the remote, because I have a 7-year-old who takes the remote and she holds the remote like it's someone's going to steal it from her. And then when it's like, I don't know, it's now I'm ready to watch a Sopranos episode or something. I'm like, where's the remote? Who knows? I have to get my flashlight from Ridley Funeral Home and check under the couch.
Well, people say, Dave, I want to talk to you about AI. I grabbed the Ridley pen out of my pocket and I flashed them with the light. And I said, there's AI, and I use it like a computer voice. And they say, you're nuts. And I said, yeah.
Dave Charles, I realize this is a microcast. I promised myself microcasts would be 30 minutes or less, or it's free. So now that I got the Dave Farrells figured out, I now know these are 2 different people. But regardless, this Dave Farrell with L's at the end used the photo of me in this piece about Podcast Mike. This photo was like an old screen cap of a Zoom I did with Hebsy. I had old sponsors on the wall. I had a leaf jersey, but it was a screen capture of a Zoom that was live streamed with Mark Hebshire. And I had sent this Dave Farrell, I had sent him so many proper photos.
I know. I couldn't understand that.
I sent him proper professional photos, and a crappy screen cap was used, and that's fine. I guess it's your website. But then it said... in small font in the bottom right hand corner under the shitty picture, it said image provided. Who provided that image? Who? It wasn't me.
He probably grabbed it from somewhere and decided to use it.
There are so many photos of me.
I cannot wait after this short program to give you his number, and you could go at him, hammer and tong, and beat him up and say, look, I just talked to Charles, and he says, you're an idiot. Where are my photos? You made me look bad. You can't even remember my name.
You did throw him under the bus here.
It's not Podcast Mike. It's Toronto Mike. What the hell's going on with you? And he'll confess everything right there.
All right, one more petty thing. All these have been serious things. This last petty thing. There's a transcript of our conversation. In the very first line, I'm referred to as Miked, MIKE''D, okay? And thereafter, every time my words are printed, I'm referred to as MD, okay? You with me? So WTF, Dave, was Miked just some weird mistake because Farrell's out to lunch at who the hell this guy is?
It could have been, but I always in the interviews, you'll notice that I use the initials of the person. It'd be MD, right?
But whose initials are MD?
Miked, like for Miked.
That's ridiculous.
Nobody knows you as Mike.
You're insane.
Boone. Nobody knows you as Mike.
But then
Boone.
use TM. Right? Dave, you with me here? Look.
I'm learning so much. I'm learning that I'm an idiot. David's an idiot.
Yeah, but in what world does Toronto Mike get shortened to MD?
Well, I guess that's another subject for David Farrell.
You're a good sport, Dave. I got to say this. You're a fantastic sport, because here I am with these petty grievances, and I'm like,
it's fun. This is fun. I'm learning. I'm learning to recover. I'm learning to, after being smacked down, I'm learning to get up off the mat and come back with something. Remember, this is supposed to be entertaining for people who don't know what the hell we're talking about, right?
Well,
they're saying that these guys are riffing on about shit I don't even care about.
They care. Dave, this is important stuff. Now that we've covered all this, I will say that I am a forgiving man, but next time you're going to have, I don't know, Peter Mansbridge or something, and he's going to be pissed. You don't upset Peter Mansbridge.
I got you. No, bad form. But anyway, you can anticipate getting David's phone number, and you can have a good old time with it. But seriously, get him on Toronto Mike. He'd be a great guest. Lots to talk about, and don't tell him a damn thing what you're going to talk about, because he's very quick. And just take him up on all these things we talked about, and I feel that I'll be vindicated. I need vindication, right?
Well, you threw him under the bus. I got to clean off those tread marks on his back.
Threw him under the bus. I mean, I'm part of this as well. I gave him shit on the weekend about getting your name wrong, your handle.
Podcast Mike.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know.
Maybe I should just go by podcast. It's not a bad handle. It's just not my handle.
But you've spent all this time with the other and the T-shirts and the billboards. I mean, we got to get it right.
Dave, honestly, just so glad we could try something a little shorter, a little taste of Dave Charles. You're a good guy. Any chance you show up at TMLX 14 on December 9th?
I'm not going to commit to it until I see what I got coming up, but I will try my best. But I don't want to stir the pot too much, but I'd love to be there. And I'm always a pleasure to talk to you and get on the show and have fun. We always have fun because we enjoyed this format.
Podcast Mike signing off. Peace and love, FOTM Dave Charles.
Hey, mahalo. More better for you, brah.
And that brings us to the end of our 1,360th show. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm at Toronto Mike. Much love and respect to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, Raymond James Canada, Moneris, Recycle My Electronics, and Ridley Funeral Home. See you all tomorrow when my special guests are Ron Hawkins and Lawrence Nichols from Lowest of the Low.